Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another opportunity as a Friday rains down on our calendar and the Northeast, or really the whole country, braces itself for inclement, cold, snowy weather. We have an opportunity to get together and record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. If you have never been a part of this experience, the Ball Hog Sports Talk is where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. If you had to put it in pop culture terms, it's where show me the money meets just give me the damn ball. This week's episode is going by the title of ATB. We'll explain more what that means. But make sure you're dialed in for good sports, business, entertainment. Make sure you're dialed in for the big managerial decisions of finance and the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. With no further ado, let's go. I get the pleasure of being joined in this journey known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk. I get the pleasure of being on screen in company of, in the atmosphere of the man, the myth, the legend, thou who shall be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say it with your chest, say it with reverence. From the Middle Coast, but is not in the Middle Coast right now. Location shall not be disclosed for security purposes. He is the Big Flow Show. What's up, my brother?
Man, not much, man. Just trying to stay out of that Arctic blast, taking advantage of investments. I don't try to promote my own business. Anyone who'd like to stay in Shea, Florida, we call it Florida Beach. It is a Airbnb that we have in Florida, and it was open, and it's cold as hell in Chicago. And I decided that I would rather wear a t-shirt and shorts and flip-flops to walk the dog than open the door, tell them to hurry the hell up, and put them in the backyard. So. This is all an emergency situation that we had to do it, but the pleasure to be able to do the show with you, my friend. Technology is great. Sorry, I don't have my backup and everything here. You're just gonna have to deal with my little blinds and see what we have, but I'm gonna try to make up for that with good content.
Yeah, I missed the biggie, man. Normally you got the biggie, so you gotta at least give us something biggie.
I need to start going. I need to get like a little back screen. You know how you have those things on Zoom calls or Teams call. You get the little back screen. I need to take a picture and
just
I
have
want
biggie in
that's
the
a
back.
possibility. I want that's a possibility.
Well, we're excited today.
That's
man.
not a possibility, man. Make that happen for me.
Make that happen. Technology allows it. So today's episode is going by the title of ATB. And normally there are more words and more descriptions and a little more double entendre, if you will, to the titles. Today's ATB is going to serve as a marker for a lot of our different topics. But we might as well hop right in. And explain how we got there, because the national championship, college football playoffs, although the Notre Dame Fighting Irish did not play in it, they still had playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, they had playoffs. Although this year Notre Dame didn't play in the national championship, they still had a national championship. And I have to admit that, begrudgingly, I have to admit that it delivered. The national championship game delivered.
100%.
And if you don't believe me, just look at the viewership. A lot of people tuned in. And what happened in the course of 4 quarters, 60 minutes of, I was going to say young men, not all young men, some older men. You can't call them student athletes no more. Let's just call them professionals, business people. Went out there for 60 minutes and 4 quarters and put on for the whole United States of America. It's the last sport we got, y'all. It's the last one that is ours. It is. We need to change it to as American as apple pie. It's the last one we got. And everybody
eat apple pie. But I digress.
How we got to ATB. We got there because it is a reciprocal. It is transposed, if you will, from BTA. The whole country has been yelling BTA for 2 years now. And I've got my issues with BTA. First of all, we've had a show entitled BTA. For those who are living under a rock and don't know what that means, it is an acronym for belt to ass. It has been used by Michael Irvin and a lot of other football, not just football, all sports. I saw someone in a high school basketball game, literally with a belt, walking around. But it stands for belt to ass. And we had a young man on our team who was going on now. He's on varsity doing great things. But during a youth football game, he used his towel as a belt after we won the game through the handshake line, and it caused a fight. Caused a fight. I was gonna say an altercation. Let's just call it what it is. It caused a fight. And so I've had issue with it because we had to address it, this young man, and with his parents, and so I've started to really dislike it. Well, enter the Miami Hurricanes of 2025, 2026. Enter all of the alum, but specifically Michael Irvin, and the belt to ass phenomenon has resurfaced.
And let me stop real quick. For some of you viewers that kind of don't understand how slang goes and how it transforms, but everybody been talking about you got whooped, right? In the black culture, whooping takes place with a belt. We don't spank really as much, although we've evolved, but most of us grew up getting a belt on the ass. So that's how you got whooped. So now we're saying this was a whooping. Now, every time you win, the problem is things start off as somewhat clever, and then it gets to be obnoxious, and then it becomes exaggeration. So now every win becomes BTA when belt to ass should be when we beat you 50-0, like Alabama got beat by IU. That's BTA. But I digress, but I want to explain.
Like the 49ers got beat, BTA.
BTA.
But yeah, it has become more universal. Anytime it could be a instant classic, where it took overtime to win. In football, a walk-off field goal. It could be an instant classic in basketball where it's a game-winning three-pointer. And still, this now universal term is if I beat you, it's BTA, it's belt to ass. Which I think is fine. But once you start bringing out props and you take it off your belt, it gets into a dangerous area. And so for youth, as a youth football coach, and coaching a group of, at this point, they were 13 years old. Now they're all 15. This was 2 years ago. They're impressionable. So they're going to emulate what they see. How does that get us to here? Because what we started thinking of is belt to ass. Belt to ass. We don't, ass for this particular topic or this show is going to be more of a donkey. All right, an ass, the biblical form of ass. Sometimes when you think you're going to take the belt to the ass, really you become the ass and you walk your ass into that belt. ATB, at the outset, as it pertains to the national championship game, is ass to belt because the same people who were walking around taking off their belt, Michael Irvin, who I love, my favorite receiver of all time, graduate of St. Thomas Aquinas. I am a big 88 fan, right? Inspired me to wear 88 in college. I love Mike. I don't think I love everything he does. And so now the same bravado that walked your ass in the Hard Rock Stadium, it got flipped around on you. And it turns out you took your ass to the belt. I love the fact
I like
that
to say the asses took a belt.
Asses took belt.
Asses took a belt.
Ass took belt.
That's a bunch of asses down there in Florida.
The little small corner, D'Angelo Pons, his father afterwards, and I was going to pull up the clip, but I felt like I would then just be adding to what is a little, it's a slippery slope. Yes, you should have fun when you win. Yes, you have a right to talk trash when you win. Yes, if the other team doesn't want you to talk trash, beat you. All of that is true. But there's still this thing of sportsmanship. I did like, however, D'Angelo Pons, the small corner who had a phenomenal game in the national championship. He literally was clamps over there. He did a phenomenal job. His father, after the game, took a belt, put a Miami jersey on a chair, and emulated belt to ass. I have to admit, I found some really cynical pleasure in that.
Lots of pleasure.
Lots of pleasure. We are self-proclaimed Miami haters as Notre Dame men, and we felt as though Notre Dame was snubbed to not make it into the playoffs. All of that aside, man, you got to give Miami credit. It was a great game. It was a great season, and everybody tuned in. Let's dig in when it comes to the national championship. 30.1 million people tuned in. Evidence enough that it was quite the game. Pound for pound, what say you in terms of this national championship game? Miami does not have anything to hang their head about. If we're going to be fair, it wasn't really belt to ass. It was a good game. It was belt to ass in the first half, but it was a tale of two very different halves. They went into the half scoreless. They came out and figured out a way to move the ball. They came out and figured out a way to make it a very competitive game. And by doing so, I ask you again, is the U back, or is this just the end of what was a Cinderella story this season for the Miami Hurricanes?
I think that this is signs of a turnaround. I think we'd be a little premature to say that they're back. One season does not we're back make. So I think that at the end of the day, Miami had a great season. I think that they showed you that they had some growing pains. They had two losses where they lost focus during the year.
Yep, SMU and Louisville were their two losses.
Back. I think before those two games, you would predict that this could have happened. And then after those two games, you would think that this could not have happened. But then they showed who they really were. So I'm man enough to say, I never did say they didn't belong. I thought we belonged more. But I also said if Miami got in, it's hard for me to argue because they did beat us and different things of that nature. So this isn't about Notre Dame. This is about national championship game. We were at home. But I had to take my hat off to the CFP as much as I'm upset about the fact that they just love Alabama and forced them in. This playoffs has been an unbelievable, successful, super entertaining, best thing that we've ever had in the college football history. I mean, if you really think about it, man, it's competitive. You got the 10th seed to go all the way to the championship game. I mean, that's what you want. What you don't want is what we had before, where it was bad for football that Clemson and Bama were passing the national championship back and forth for a few years. That wasn't good for football. That alienated a lot of the country. But now, and we can get into this more, any school, the most losingest school, and second most losingest school in I know I made that word up, in college football history, just won a national championship 16-0 in the hardest format that you could possibly have to get into a championship. You know what I mean? So, I mean, hey, I think this is college football is in a great place from a entertainment standpoint.
Well, this is where sports business and entertainment collide. And I'll say this to your point. You said Notre Dame, we were at home. We weren't all at home, baby. Marcus Freeman, it was genius. Whoever Marcus Freeman's agent is just genius. But that he was on the set. He was there as an analyst, a guest analyst during the national championship game. And I'll make this brief, but salute to you, Coach Freeman. Even when we're not playing, we still getting some airtime. All press is good press, especially in this day and age of recruiting during that transfer portal. Shout out to you, Marcus Freeman. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. But the statement that you made in terms of Alabama and Clemson being sort of in this dominant position where they literally controlled college football for a nice chunk of years. It's sort of like those who say the era of boxing was tainted by Mayweather going 50-0, right? It's like you want to see more competitiveness. And if you don't believe us, believe the numbers, right? Because this game that pit a Miami team, the U, that has not been in the national championship conversation since the 2002-2003 season, with the infamous pass interference call Ohio State. They have not really been in the national championship conversation since then. It pits Miami versus IU. That has been historically bad when it comes to football. It's a basketball school. They won their first Heisman Trophy. They won their first Big Ten championship since I don't know when before electric cars for sure. The last time they won a Big Ten championship, their first national championship ever. They were more likely to go 0-16 than 16-0, and so you've got these two outliers playing for a national championship. And again, sports business and entertainment, but the business of it was very entertaining in the sports context because it averaged viewership 30.1 million viewers, making it the most watched college football game in 11 years, a 36% increase over the previous year where Notre Dame and Ohio State played. Two blue bloods, if you will, when it comes to college football. More people wanted to watch. It just so happens not only that Miami and the culture of the U, we invented the swagger, has its own appeal, but to go against IU that has the largest living group of alum amongst all colleges, it was must-see TV. And then the players delivered. You got to give them credit. The game peaked at 33.2 million viewers, representing a significant increase when it comes to the 12-team playoff format in its second year. Nothing short of amazing. All right, most watched non-NFL sports telecast since 2016 World Series. We watched the quarterfinal numbers go up. We watched the semifinal numbers go down in terms of viewership year over year. And now we watch the finals, the actual championship numbers go up significantly when you're talking year over year. Everybody tuned in. The playoff committee, while I think they got it wrong, and I say they got it wrong because Notre Dame, in no rational explanation, got left out. And then they put two teams, I would argue three teams in there that had no chance. Once we get through the logistics of this, the format itself, I think, is right. I don't think we should increase to more teams. I just think that the committee has to put 12 teams in there to have a legit chance to win. And while it's not about Notre Dame, I will say this as the 10th seed that made it all the way to the championship and was very competitive in said championship game. They sort of, Miami did raise the banter for teams that should be considered, on the fringe, on the bubble.
What seed was Notre Dame last year?
I think Notre Dame was, what were they, 7 last year? I don't remember. I know they did not have a first round bye. In the 2 years, they're 1-7. The teams that have a first round bye, the only team that has had a bye and won is IU, who ultimately won the championship. I don't remember where Notre Dame was last year, but they were out of birth both by rule and because they lost to Northern Illinois last year. They did not have a bye. I don't remember what number they were. So that's where we are with it, man. Everybody tuned in. For those who are in our live audience, first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. Like we say every week, and we ask humbly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast on Spotify. But also, we ask you, all right, I haven't looked at any of the comments yet. Good morning to anybody who sent any. We ask you, what did you think? Did you tune in? What did you think about the game? 30.1 million average viewers. And then the question becomes straight up and down, man. I'm glad the question was asked. What's up, my man Nick in the building? And he asked the question that everyone's asking now. Is the Big Ten officially better than, right? I wasn't great in math, but I know it's the open mouth alligator. Big Ten, open mouth alligator towards Big Ten. And on the other side, SEC. Is the Big Ten now in its third straight national championship moment? Michigan started us off. Ohio State last year. Indiana this year. Is the Big Ten greater than the highly respected SEC.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But if you got to look at the measurements and just start thinking about where the SEC has been, the SEC was a two-horse race. The second horse would rotate every year. So Georgia got involved. It was Alabama, and so 1 year it was Georgia, 1 year it's LSU. I think it's really kind of hard to sit there. The SEC is really manufacture themselves and they market themselves as the greatest. I mean, the amount of butthurtedness I've seen on the internet right now.
That's another word you just made up, but I like it.
Butthurtedness.
Butthurtedness. I like it.
Butthurtedness.
It's
been obnoxious. They should be ashamed. Like, sit back and just shut up.
We were butthurt too, though. Notre Dame been butthurt by not making.
We were butthurt. I'm saying, but like at the end of the day, we're taking our hat off to IU. We're taking our hat off to Miami. The SEC is like, we're still the best conference. No, you're not. I mean, like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. I like that, dude.
No, you're not. Nobody who's in college football playing next year won a national championship from the SEC or played in one. They went from losing a national championship to they lost they haven't been even played for a national championship in 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even in the Final Four last year, and the only reason why they're in the Final Four this year, I shouldn't say the only reason, but one of the main reasons is because they rigged the system to the fact that they had to be in the Final
Four. They made sure the SEC was in. And they I don't know how they gifted Alabama to get in. And so why don't I say, because ATB is going to mean a lot of things. And right now in this segment, in this particular conversation, ATB ain't tough, boy. You ain't that tough no more. You made sure that Alabama got in. Committee, wink, wink. You made sure that the way that it was crafted, you made sure that at least one SEC team, you made it probable that one SEC team will make it to the Final Four.
It made it impossible. Unless Tulane, which we knew Tulane wasn't going to beat Ole Miss, they were going to the Final Four. And then they put Oregon and they put they put Oklahoma and Alabama against each other to make sure one of them made it to the 8. And then there was a pistol whipping. So I just think if you look at how they did,
it was a belt to ass. It was a BTA. It was a belt to ass.
They only had one win, I think, outside of head-to-head in the whole poll game. And then everyone's crying that, people are opting out. Every school has opt-outs. Everything does whatever. I'm just so tired of hearing everyone say, if Indiana had to play in the SEC, they would be 500. They would win the SEC. They would beat y'all face. And, man, wait till you see Texas and Oklahoma when they get in the SEC. Doing great. Oklahoma was in the playoffs without any questions. And if you judge people in the back half of the season, Texas would have made the playoffs. They just had too many bad things happen in the beginning of the year, and unlike Miami, you know what I mean, they just didn't get the nod. They had one more loss than that or whatever. So at the end of the day,
Alabama didn't move at all in the polls.
Alabama lost 4 games, 3 by blowouts, and they never moved. They lost their last 2 games and stayed the same place in the podium.
So while we think that the SEC, ATB, you ain't tough, boy. To me, SEC, we all know that person. We can visualize the dude. And sometimes it was a group of dudes, right? And I'm making it about guys because I can't act tough for women. But if there any of our ladies out there that's watching, you can substitute the tough girl in your school or whatever. It walks around like they so tough. And we all know that deep down, they made of straight lemon meringue pie. That's what I'm starting to think about the SEC. You ain't tough, boy. Stop acting tough. And the fact that you have so many people, including this college football playoff, that shunned and snubbed Notre Dame for a 3-loss Bama that got BTA in the SEC championship game that looked horrible in the last 4 weeks of the season. You finish a game with less than 5 yards rushing, and you consider said self a playoff team? They have sold so many wolf tickets for so long. Their fandom has believed it. It has spewed it to the top of the mountaintop, so much so that the bias and the benefits thereto or therefrom still exist. There is no rational reason on this planet called Earth that Alabama should still be 9. You don't want us to believe our eyes, right? What are we doing?
I'm trying to look at I try to go back into the ESPN app just to show you how much they're in bed with the SEC, to look at their schedule so I can tell you the margin of loss of the last 2 games. They've already stripped their record from last year and they've moved on to next year. It's no longer accessible. And I got to try to fight to see the stupid thing, but it's hilarious.
We all know what we know. So the SEC has enjoyed this luxurious benefit of the doubt, and
to stay on Alabama one more time. When in the history of any sport have your last 2 games been blowout losses and you don't move one spot of the polls?
Not one. Not one.
It doesn't even matter. You don't even get anything for being number 9. But what will happen is people will point back in history. I see people saying 5 of the top 10 teams in the country for the SEC were dominant. One of those is Bama, who got blown out the last 2 games, but you kept them in the same position. They don't move. That's got to be the first time in the history of sports.
Look, man, I tried. I've done everything to try to explain it. I can't. I love this comment, and please keep the comments coming. One of the live audience members, what's his last name? Legree. What up, Mr. Legree? Says that money that every school can spend now, whether it be through revenue sharing or through name, image, and likeness, the money that every school can spend now, according to Mr. Legree, has leveled the playing field. The SEC had a head start when it came to paying people, allegedly. But
it's the truth. Let's just quit. It is what it is. They were
you got to at least throw allegedly in there. You're beyond allegedly. Actually,
even Ed Orgeron said, "Hey, the only thing we got to change is we used to come in the money through the back door. Now we coming through the front door. That's the only thing changes."
So we like the parity. All in all, now that everybody can pay, now that Kurt Signetti can go and pay if he wants to and get IU up to speed, do we like this parity? I can tell by viewership that the fans like it.
It's the absolute best thing that could have ever happened in football. I mean, you got people getting paid. One's going to argue. Everyone's going to look at the negative side, but I look at it as positive. Yeah, it's paid and it's out of control and it's this, whatever. We can say what you're saying. They're just so mad to see people in this country hate to see individuals win, right? Because it's like, why are you getting that and I'm not getting it? We have a jealous society of people. So you got these young guys who are cashing in on their money for the first time ever, when we both know how many people were great in college and they were great for they generated revenue for the universities and
billions
sales and whatever.
Billions.
And they didn't make it in the NFL, and they were down on their luck, and their lives were ruined. Now these guys are going in here making money. I just saw another kid get $4.4 million. If he never makes it beyond college, he does whatever, and he has halfway decent people in his corner, he could be set for life. And you know what? There's a lot of people who deserve to be set for life based off of what they produced in college.
Yeah, I mean, you on the heels of that, we got to at least acknowledge former NFL defensive lineman Kevin Johnson was killed in a suspected homicide and blunt head trauma, stab wounds. And the part that threw me off, because he's a 4th-round draft pick. He was a 4th-round draft pick in '93, played for the Patriots, Vikings, Raiders, and Eagles. The part of the story that threw me off is that his body was discovered in a homeless encampment. And so, to your point, all right, not to make light of that situation, but to bring it right here as a part of this conversation, there are going to be young people that start with a nest egg even earlier, before their NFL years, that hopefully they have the right people around them that can avoid ending up potentially in homeless encampments. There are generations upon generations of people that unfortunately did not get their due compensation for the value that they brought to the university. So I'm happy from that standpoint. The fans have shown that they're happy from a parity standpoint. I know that the SEC, what up, True Food Jordan? My man Cheeky Black is in the building in our live audience, who's an LSU enthusiast and might disagree with me here.
And an SEC bigot.
The SEC bigot. But the SEC is not Big Brother anymore. They're not any tougher than any other conference. They're not superior to anyone else. This old myth that they beat each other up because their schedules are so difficult is just outdated. It's an antiquated myth that we keep believing in. But at some point, no matter how beautiful it was to sit on Santa Claus's lap, at some point you got old enough to realize that Santa Claus ain't real. Tooth Fairy, all of that stuff, you realize it wasn't real. And that's where we are with the SEC. I know I thought you were tough. I know I thought you were a Superman. But the truth of the matter is, ATB, you ain't tough, boy, just like everybody else. And the bowl season over the last several cycles have shown that. The national championship game, at least for the last 3 years, but especially, I think, this particular year has shown that. And so we've got to live with the reality as it is, not as we want it to be and not as we believed at one point. I'll give you last word on it, man, quickly before we spin out. Anything about SEC before we spin out?
No, I mean, I just get I don't want to exaggerate, make it seem like they're just complete trash. Although they had complete trash postseason this year, they're still a strong conference. I just think that if you match up and you go school to school down the way, it used to be they dominated the top. Now they don't dominate the top anymore. You can't go back 4 or 5 years because none of the coaches. I mean, 3 years is a millennia in today's market,
right?
In today's football, there's been a complete 100% change to almost everything every single year. My son was in college, and my son's still in college. The transfer portal has changed completely every single year. NIL's changed. When my son was a freshman, you could only transfer once, and now you can transfer as many times as you want. Then they have the windows changed, then the grad school, everything's been different. And the thing about it is the SEC has to adjust, and they haven't adjusted as of yet. Will they adjust? Possibly. The motivation is there. But the unfair advantage that the SEC has always had in being able to get guys into school, I think most schools have thrown away their academic requirements just because half these kids are only going to be there for a year. The graduation rate is falling off of a cliff. That's not going to happen anymore. So now it's just semi-pro teams, and there's so much money involved.
Yeah.
People are seeing stuff. IU wasn't getting Mark Cuban to donate millions of dollars. He just tried to pay Mendoza $34-something million to come back. Those guys weren't coming back on campus.
Whatever number was astronomical.
So they don't care. These schools don't give a damn anymore about the academic piece of it.
So as we spin out, let me ask you this, because we're saying that name, image, and likeness and revenue sharing has created parity. But truth be told, there are people that are doing this thing better than others. Specifically, Curt Cignetti, not only did he bring players with him from JMU, but he has an older roster. What do we say in terms of ATB that some of these players, because the average age was 23 years old for IU. They have 47 players on IU's roster between the ages of 22 and 25 years old. Compare that to the NFL that has 140 players in the National Football League. If we're playing a video game, that's the next level, that are between the ages of 21 and 22. So IU, arguably, you look at that average age, and you contrast that with the NFL, Curt Cignetti has decided to have an older roster. What do you think about the fact that some of these players are aged to benefit from the new revenue sharing and name, image, and likeness dollars flowing to the game?
I got to take my hat off to this man. Those players were out there. He didn't go get guys from the NFL to come back. He went and got guys that people had looked at. I mean, if you look at we're such a copycat league. The good thing is, like I hate to always plug my son, but he's getting older, and now he's just become more popular, right? Because people are going to say, well, this is what you got to go do. But everybody was getting the 5 stars, out of high school, giving them all this bread, trying to get guys to transfer young. Signetti said, you know what? IU were the second most losingest program in college football. I don't know who the first is. Luckily, they haven't exposed it. But they're the second most losingest team.
You'll know next year because they'll probably be in the national championship game.
It's somebody else. And he said, you know what? You guys go after that. I'm going to go after a niche that nobody's going after. He went and did it. The best part about it is, this is why I got to attack the SEC, is they're crying foul. That's the part of it that really makes me laugh.
Yeah, how dare you play our game better than us?
How dare you play our game better than us? The reason why Saban retired is because everybody started paying, and he wasn't the only game in town anymore. He's out of coaching. He doesn't want to get back into coaching now and try to compete the way this is going. The SEC has been the most openly blatant payers for the past. And Nick Saban did say something great. He's like that the North has benefited more by NIL because half these kids you had to pay them big money to leave the South and go up north and go to college. That's a big thing that's always been up against. I mean, where would you rather go to school if you're from the South and you want to have first of all decent looking co-eds. Second of all, you don't want to wear a triple fat goose jacket in the summertime to class. A lot of these people are like, man, I'm not trying to go up north. You're not going to get me up north in the snow. I've never seen it. When we used to have visits in Notre Dame, I could tell on your visit whether we had a chance. It's 20 degrees outside. Dudes were wearing starter jackets. Remember the little starter jackets?
Right.
I was like, if that's your winter coat, the starter coat, you're not coming here. Like, this is your idea.
All right, so that you like it when Curt Cignetti did it, right?
I think it was genius. I think he said, I'm going to go out there and do something that no one else is doing. And he's not cheating.
But how old is too old? That's my question. How old is too? Because now you've got because there's two on most campuses. There's two revenue generating sports: football and basketball. And on the basketball side, we've taken issue. John Calipari came out and talked about it. The kid that's playing at Baylor had some NBA or G League experience. You just got a temporary restraining order to allow the player in Alabama who got drafted 3 years ago or whatever to come back and play. He had G League experience. How old is too old? Because as John Calipari said, and he probably was, playing it up for the cameras, hamming it up, if you will. I feel sorry for it. I'm quoting, I'm trying to show my inner John Calipari. I feel sorry for the 17 and 18-year-old that is trying to be recruited. And he said, I'm the only one stupid enough to keep recruiting the kid. Everybody else, a lot of my peers included, are apologizing for having these older guys. And I tell them not to apologize because that's within the rules. The rules aren't being broken, but when do we say enough is enough? Because if you've got these older players that have been drafted to the National Basketball Association coming back to take spots on rosters, there's only so many spots on rosters. So it's a slippery slope. And I get it. Curt Cignetti, I think, with an average of 23 years old and taking advantage of the rules as they are, brilliant. We like that. In America, we love a comeback story. We love the underdog. And Curt Cignetti and IU are the model example of those things. But now we can't have that energy for Curt Cignetti and IU and then be mad at Alabama basketball, a kid that got them to be the number one team in the country at one point, who put himself into the NBA draft. Nobody forced him to go, is now playing for Alabama again because of this temporary restraining order that was granted by an Alabama judge that happened to be a pretty generous booster for Alabama. But I won't go any further than that. I don't want to put any stain on that man's career as a judge. But what's too far?
There's a difference between too far and do you blame him? At the end of the day, I'm a college coach. My job is to win games. Fill the
Is that your
stadium.
only job?
In this day and age, yeah. It used to be to build man and all that stuff, but that's over. So
You're done
now
with that. Like that's get
that's dead.
take that
They are
violin and break
NFL
it.
coaches in college. I mean, they're there to win games, and that's the only thing
In
they
that
do.
case, that might be answering my question right there. But go ahead.
And don't embarrass the university if you can. If you can try to find a way not to embarrass the university, that'd be more than a plus, but not a complete necessity, right? Depending on the school. So the system is. I go back and I blame. Was it Emmert or Emery, the guy who was the old chairman
Or
of
Mark
the
Emmert, yeah,
yeah,
NCAA guy,
who let this thing go off the rails, and now it's so hard to get to unring the bell, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like gun control in America. What are you going to do now? There's too many guns out there. What are you going to do now? There's people who are in these legal contracts. You can't make a contract illegal between me and somebody else that I've signed under your thing. So when do you weed those out?
But lawmakers are at least trying to create responsible gun control laws. That's what I'm throwing in your. I'm putting it in your lap.
And one of the reasons why the gun control laws aren't going to work is because there's too many guns out there already. So what my analogy is, there's too much going on, too much fuckery going on already for you to even try to go in there. The fact that we're openly talking about how Ole Miss tampered, you know why they're not worried about their tampering? Because they know for a fact that Clemson's tampered. So you can say something you want to. I'll find 3 players that Clemson caught. They don't care. So I think at the end of the day, I can't blame Indiana. I can't blame Alabama. I can't blame Baylor. If the players are there, I don't like Calipari getting up there talking. I don't really want to hear from these coaches about what their thoughts and all this bitching and moaning, because these guys are the ones that, if they can't break the rules, if they can't exploit the rules, they're not doing a good job exploiting them. You know, one thing is you have a son that reclassified, right?
No, I don't. I would not say yes to that statement. I would say I put him in the right class, but I had a choice whether or not in preschool to send him or not. I sent him. I wish I wouldn't have, because I realized that everyone was reclassing, so it just made the most sense.
I feel like I just put you on the spot, and I didn't mean to do that.
You didn't. You didn't. That's my. I don't call it reclass. That's why I didn't agree with it. I say right class. I put him in his right
class. So whatever name we're using, you made a decision that was based off of what you thought was best for your kid.
Right.
And what did you get faced with from a lot of people who have not done that? Criticism. And what I always say is,
I ignore any.
You ignore it, but I would say most of that criticism comes from people, from dads whose wives won't allow them to do it, or they're in a situation where things are wrong, so they're going to be mad and they're going to cry foul because they can't take
it ruined it. It essentially ruined a friendship with a family that we were really close with, because of, they said something that was provocative to me. And, my son is, I think, 3 months older than their son. And lo and behold, that kid actually reclassed. So it became laughable at that point where I look back at it now. I was like, that whole uproar about it. You're right. No one wants you to have an advantage over them.
My point in that, not to get too sidetracked, is most people cry foul when they're in a situation where you're doing something that's within the rules that they could not pull off themselves. Now let's cry foul. How many times did we hear Deion Sanders say, it's not about NIL, it's not about NIL, until he got NIL money to pay? And then I've heard of people saying, we got the money, we got cash for you.
But that's different than age, though. I get
what
you.
I'm just saying is it's different than age because people didn't do it. You try to tell me that if Miami thought they could win the game with a bunch of 3 stars that were 25 years old, 26 years old, they want to recruit them, you're mad that Signetti did something that you didn't, that you could have done. How could you have any type of argument with that? With the basketball, hey, if you say that somebody can get drafted in the NBA and because they didn't make it in the NBA, they can come back to college, you can be mad all you want at the system, but they try to get mad. Like the kid at Baylor got booed when he came on the court. Don't boo him. Go to the NCAA and talk to them. So people kind of go out there and they're crying, but Calipari is going to do it tomorrow. His system was grab the one and dones, right? That was his system. He didn't win championships with it that much. He never achieved that well. But Kentucky has the greatest players that are in the NBA. coming out of it. They had him for 1 year and he left. That was what you decided was your strategy. Don't
Right,
be mad because
and
my
then
strategy beat you.
Duke finally joined him. I guess my question is a little more broad, and I'll ask it to anyone watching the live audience. At what point is it too far in terms of the age? I get you with name, image, and likeness, but while Calipari might have been virtue signaling in order to look good and sound good in front of the camera, the truth of the matter is they're not expanding rosters; they're shrinking rosters. So if they're 25-year-old basketball players taking roster spots, just by the mere math of it, that does mean that there's a 17 or 18-year-old, right? My decision was, and you
That's
asked,
not
like,
who's losing. That's a lot too.
To your point, my decision about my own kid was this: like, look, why should my son graduate at 17 when everybody else is graduating at 18, right? Now, there have been people that ask me, like, no, you should actually reclass him, let him graduate at 19, and that has become the norm. And so I just sort of did the law of averages and said, at least want my son to graduate at 18. Don't be on a college campus at 17 years old. But there's going to be a domino effect where people are getting older and older and older. I get that. But 25, 26 is different than a 22, 23-year-old kid. And there's just different in terms of your body strength, in terms of the development, in terms of your understanding of the game, in terms of the opportunities that you have. And so this is where, and literally we're going to move forward, but I ask not just you, but the audience, are we creating dangerous grounds when the average age is 23? And I know that's the Kursignetti form of this conversation. But then when you think of someone that voluntarily put himself in an NBA draft and now is saying he regrets leaving and thought he left too early and needed a TRO, a temporary restraining order, granted in order to play. Same thing with Pavia. All right, so we are definitely getting to the point where the mere math of it says that high school recruits are suffering.
Not specifically. So I think in this country we have a habit of trying to find a way, trying to find something you can sympathize with to hide an uglier truth, right? And so what's going on is these high school kids are getting scholarships. Now, there's some schools out there that don't take high school kids, few, but that's just a few. I'm watching these, I still take a lot of pleasure in watching the signing day and doing whatever. The classes are a little bit smaller, like 18, 17 instead of 21, 22, but not to the level that I thought. I thought there'd be like 5 or 10. And you start saying, well, what's going on? Well, first of all, people are having to open their mind up to FCS and D2 more than they had to before, right? And they're had to start in different areas, but they're still getting there. But what we're realizing is, I was like, well, how are there any scholarships left if there's 26-year-old kids out there? How are there any scholarships left for the high school kids? And there are. People are signing left and right. I'm watching kids sign left and right. It's because of all the kids in the middle, and that's the forgotten soldier, because he hasn't been good in a while. The kid that played 2 or 3 years at school and he never hit the field. And now these guys are saying, you're cut. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. You need to go. So now these kids are hitting the portal and not ending up anywhere. These kids aren't coming forward. They're embarrassed. They're forgotten. They haven't been popular in a long time.
Do they go home? Because we're going to get – so we might as well hop right into that then. Mm-hmm. We might as well hop right into that because right now it's the age part and then it's the transfer portal gone wild. So much so that now we have lawyers involved. You got the linebacker that left Cal that was at one point at Clemson and got poached by, I don't even know who's on first, who's on second. You got Mensa, the quarterback from Duke, that just signed a huge deal to be at Duke. And now you got Miami basically coming to take him and willing to pay the money back. So Duke is planning to hire an attorney. The lawyers are involved. It is the transfer portal gone wild. And while the institutions with their very proficient legal departments are shaping up their legal battles, there's another group, as you just described, of people, athletes that sort of get nudged, not even nudged. two-hand flagrant foul pushed into the transfer portal that'll never come out and don't have legal recourse. And so the math ain't mathing. Let's start with the people that are going to the shiny red object. Do you think the universities are well within their right to start suing these players? And I know you've talked about if you sign a contract, you make an agreement, you should live in that agreement. And I said last week, there's an efficient breach. There are efficient reasons to breach a contract. And where the linebacker from Cal, which team did he go to for? Cal went to
Clemson.
He went to Clemson first. All right, so he showed Clemson that another team was tampering. Ole Miss was tampering. He showed them the text. And so Ole Miss got called out on it. Instead of Ole Miss knowing that all schools are tampering, apologizing, and hiding their hand, they doubled the amount that they offered the linebacker. So from $800,000, which enticed him to go from Cal to Clemson, the $1 million, which was a $200,000 increase, just sparked this linebacker to show the Clemson coaches, yo, look, man, I'm getting these text messages. To now the Ole Miss powers that be said, well, let's up it. Let's double it, $2 million. From $800,000 to $2 million is the definition of an efficient breach. That is financial reasoning 101 of an efficient reason to breach your contract. That's where we are now. And you can blame Mark Emmert. You can blame the NCAA in totality for not doing more at the outset to regulate this. But it ain't no fun when the rabbit got a gun too. Just like Lane Kiffin could switch coaching chairs like he's playing freaking musical chairs, he drop it like it's hot. He's out when the next opportunity comes. Now the players are doing it too. And the universities don't like it. And now they are not just threatening, but they are following up on their threats with legal action. That's where this transfer portal gone wild has put us. And ATB, anticipate trial battles, lawyer up, because that's where we are. And it's a shame. I didn't ask a question. I just sort of threw that out there. And you can take it where you want to take it. As someone in the legal community who knows that there are going to be ample opportunities to take full advantage, and the trial attorneys are licking their chops in this litigious thing called America, we are litigious as we can be. There are people licking their chops to take advantage of, right, these young, for the most part, student athletes. And here we are. Go where you want with it, but it's a shame.
I have a conversation with a friend about politics. I only have a couple friends I talk politics with, but he and I like to argue all the time about politics. And so, hey, we love you back, William G. Thanks for loving the show. And thanks for the support. So I think it's William G. Sorry. William Degrees. I don't know. I can't see, my eyes are too
Mr. Degree, you good, man. You good. We keep rocking.
Anyway, so at the end of the day, we argue all the time about big government versus little government, right? And I believe in regulations, because I say that in the capitalists, humankind is corrupt. Power is corrupt. Absolute power is absolutely corrupt. Somebody said that, I stole it. I probably beat it up. But if you don't regulate, people are going to do things wrong. There is no in this capitalist society that we live in, there is no morality, and there is no, for the spirit of the game, there are no good guys. All there are bad guys and worse guys, right? Trying to figure out. I'm just being honest with what I'm saying. So people are going to do what they are able to do and what they can get away with until you tell them they can't. So you have to regulate. If you don't regulate, you're going to get all these examples because people are going to find loopholes. There are very smart people out there that are going to read your document, the rules, and they're going to figure it out. The reason why we pay all these accountants every year is we give our accountant the sheet and we say, read this rules and figure out how I can not get audited and not go to jail and get as much money back as I can. And what can I get away with? The university. This is the way our country is set up and where I run. These universities are just doing the same thing. So, do I think these contracts should be enforceable? Morally, I think they should be. I think legally they should be.
I think they need to have a freaking moratorium on any college being able to sue these kids. Because for generations, and now it's personal, been free labor, essentially. For generations, they sat right in our face with a straight face and stank breath and lied to us and told us that the value of that education was the right exchange for going out there risking life and limb for entertainment, but most importantly, for the benefit of their coffers. They lied to us. As their endowments were growing to unbelievable sizes, as their universities were hearing those trucks, all them construction trucks that were on those campuses, building those buildings, all of those donations that increased significantly, follow the money in years where we won more games. They lied to us and took full advantage of the fact that we had no power. We had no leverage. There needs to be at least a 2 to 5 year moratorium to hell with these universities. Let the players catch up. Let them get their bread. Let them partake fully in this American dream and get paid for their value. There is a market, right? If you're in an open market society, what this linebacker from Cal just showed us is that there is a market for him as a linebacker. The same market that allowed these people to write these big ass checks when we went to said bowl games should be allowed to pay that young man whatever he wants. And Duke, whether it be Duke with the quarterback, Cal with the linebacker, fill in the blank with any university versus any individual young student athlete that is just trying to get to the point where they show me the money. This is about Hawk Sports Talk. Where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. These are managerial decisions of big finance that these individuals are making. It's where show me the money meets give me the damn ball. These young student athletes are, I think, optimizing the market and the universities. And how do you do that other than some sort of agreement? But, some gentleman's agreement. The university should have a moratorium on suing these young people until there is some regulation. You lost out on this one. Go get the next one. Don't put that young student athlete and his family through litigation because he did what every university, every big business does. Enacted an efficient breach. $800,000, ain't no mathematician, versus $2 million is night and day. It's night and day.
You have to go.
You gotta go. You gotta go. Look, when the linebacker showed,
when you think about it, though, when he gets to the yard, technically he's a snitch, right? So he went and snitched, and they brought the snitch into the team, and now he got to walk on his team, be just snitched. But LSU's or Ole Miss is the same person who gave new life to that linebacker that was selling naked pictures of his.
Changed his name though.
Changed his name, and he said, "Look, man, just change your name real quick.
Change your name. You can move on."
And he's a baller. He's a killer over there.
Yeah, baller. He is baller. Yeah. So I know I'm sort of taking some high moral ground on this one, but I just think that we're going too far. We gotta move just because we spent a lot of time on this one. Before we go, man, that was Lance Agree in the building. What's up, LL? Another Notre Dame.
Your name is William, huh?
Legend. Another Notre Dame legend.
That I didn't have the honor of playing with. All you young guys.
Yeah, defense lineman.
I
played in the NFL.
All your 50-year-old birthday parties because I know it's coming up.
They coming, man. I'm going 49 before 50 though. Don't put me there too soon. But I will say this: when you have the support, And thank you, Lance Legree. Thank you for all of our former teammates that support us, whether it be high school in Notre Dame or wherever you were our teammates. We appreciate it. But any of those brothers that support us now, I just talked about a story where a brother died in a freaking homeless encampment. Think about what we could have done with the money that, if we want to be honest, the money that we deserved. Now, I'm okay. Lord has blessed both of us to the point where when we got the Ball Hall Sports Talk, we're going to be good, baby. We're going to make that money back. Especially if, and we ask you every week, like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast on Spotify. Especially if y'all do that, ain't going to cost you nothing. Don't be like them universities, consuming all of this good content, brightening your day, giving you talking points to go to the damn barbershop with. Don't take all that and don't give us nothing. We ask you humbly to like, comment, share. Help us help other people. But think about all the money that was left on the table, Big Flo. So I hope that every single one of these athletes gets every single penny that they can and stick it to the man. You get last word on it, man, quickly before we jump to the next topic.
Yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, a lot of people are real frustrated, real mad what's going on. And I don't care if this is the Wild Wild West. Take as much money as you can. I said jokingly in our text the other day, I hope this lasts until Thatcher gets out of school so that he can make some of this bread too. And if anyone's got younger kids I'm friends with, I hope it lasts. It won't last forever. Eventually it's going to blow up. But until then, if the money gets into these kids' hands and they're just bleeding the system, I'm all for it.
Hey, look, man, once you lawyer
better
up,
them than you. That's all I can say.
Once the universities lawyer up, we're seeing probably the beginning of the end. But how dare they?
I do believe if I give you a contract for $1 million, you're no longer a child, and I should sue you if you try to leave. I believe in that.
No, my gosh. Ugh. Let's hop into this though, man, because the other ATB today that I have to get to, we got to get to it. It is your boy Sherron Moore, another troubled brother. ATB. He is now back in court. His wife stood by his side. God bless that woman and his family. We have from the very beginning and the outset of this story, when we talked about, we had a show called what was it, Hail to the Victims, and we were trying to figure out who was a victim. And with no question whatsoever, his wife and his 3 beautiful little daughters are victims in this story. But his wife stood by his side in that courtroom. And I want to tell a joke there, but I'm not going to tell it. I'm going to leave the joke alone. But because it's not funny. But it is remarkable that she stood by his side. Turns out that the attorney, his defense attorney, is trying to get some of the charges dropped. Let's bring that in, man, and we'll get to this, discussing it after we bring that in. Let me do it here. Trying to get the charges dropped. Let's listen in.
Moore was fired in December after an investigation by the university found he was having an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. He then allegedly went to her apartment and threatened to hurt himself. During the hearing, his wife and other supporters sat front row as Moore stood next to his attorney, Ellen Michaels.
Your name, sir?
Sherron Moore.
Michaels requested additional time to gather evidence, including phone and Title IX records. The prosecutor adding that the investigation is still ongoing. Judge agreed to push the probable cause hearing to March. Michaels then addressed reporters outside, saying her client is innocent and she's now working to have the charges dropped.
On behalf of Mr. Moore, we filed a motion to quash the arrest warrant and dismiss the complaint. We've requested that this court grant a Franks hearing because this warrant was issued based on false and misleading statements presented as fact.
She didn't say who made those statements, but said,
"We're confident the truth will come out in court under oath where it belongs."
Moore and his wife left without saying a word.
As we bring ourselves back, I again don't want to make light of the situation. But at the same time, you know, it is we'll see what the legal process looks like. But man, you talk about ATB. This brother had the entire world literally at his fingertips. The entire world. I don't know what I'm doing here with the thing. Sorry about that.
Just touch.
He had the entire world at his fingertips. Say again. It's all good.
I was going to take care of it.
Entire world at his fingertips. Had the, I think, third highest in terms of valuation standpoint, highest valued program. Had the job to be at the helm. And unfortunately, he dropped the bag. I see the legal theory behind, basically the fruit of the poisonous tree, so all evidence should be dropped. And the same week when he's in court trying procedurally to help his case out, the exact same time, there is the court of public opinion that he is being run through because one of the former receivers that's in the transfer portal basically said that
Anthony Simpson,
his playing time was compromised because other players were blackmailing Sherron Moore, who those players knew about the relationship with the staffer and were using that information to improve their own playing time. So you've got the court procedure and you've got the court of public opinion, and neither one of them look good for this brother. Another troubled brother, ATB. We have talked about Sherron Moore ad nauseum, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but since it is one of the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment, briefly, you hear this procedural move that is attorney, and God bless him, it's smart. Being accused of being a womanizer, you better go hire your lawyer, better be a woman. But he's got himself in a whole world of trouble, man. Probably never coach again. And
I watched it myself. First of all, I thought about how Sherron Moore's persona. I don't recognize him outside of the Michigan hat. That's how much he was a Michigan man. I mean, I've only seen him in the hat. I didn't realize he had a little bald spot in the back, and he looked totally. When he walked to the court, I didn't know who he was.
This man fighting for his life. You worry about his bald spot.
I'm just telling you what I'm saying is, how long are we into this now? A month?
At least a month. Yeah.
A month ago, he was Sherron Moore, the head football coach at one of the top 10 most prestigious football programs in America. A brother that had crossed over a line and made it to the top of the mountain. A man that's been part of a national championship, bringing the first national championship to Michigan in forever. A man that went multiple years beating Ohio State. A man that stepped up when his coach was down. And this isn't 20 years ago. This isn't the man, not to make light of it, that died in the homeless shelter, who's in his 50s, that played a long time ago. This was last month. I still might have food in the fridge from when this happened. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? This was last month. This is who you were. And I'm watching this man sitting in court, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how did you let yourself fall this far from grace?
His woman stood by him, though. His woman stood by him. Shout out to her, man. She is the epitome of strength. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that.
Whatever.
I'm not that strong.
Are, you know what? At the end of the day, she can't go get a new dad for her kids. I'm not saying. Sounds like I'm being disparaging. I'm just saying she can deal with the hurt later. Right now, this is still her husband. Right now, it's still the father of her children. I take my hat off to her, so I don't want to miss that. I take my hat off to her for being strong enough to do it. Maybe her and Cassie's husband can get together because they can go through some of the strength of what it takes to be in court and listen to you hear about your spouse. But I just can't. What am I looking at? And I'm watching the thing on TV and I'm saying, how am I looking at this, dude? You were top of the world a month ago.
Top of the world.
Hey, now you're in court trying to say, I ain't really break the door down. It was ajar. I never threatened her. I was mad at myself. What are we doing, man?
It is the definition of going from belt to ass, where Michigan was doing their thing on the football field. Only at that point, 2 years removed from a national championship. And if you're not careful, there's too much hubris, you can be the ass that's taking yourself to that belt. And what he is going through just shows that if you are somebody engaged in donkey behavior, right? We call it, you said it, either donkey of the day, donkey of the year, when you've got that much power, that much prestige, that much accomplishment and achievement wrapped in one position, and you fall prey to, something that it just seems so dumb, because it's like, bro, you put yourself in position for players to blackmail you and get on the field? That's how public that was? A staffer? Bro, I ain't telling you what to do, but I read online that there's people that you can just go to a different country and there are transactions that you can do.
I don't read those publications, but I hear what you're saying.
I read about it. But my point is like,
he needs to hang out with Rampage Jackson. I don't know if you see what he's been doing.
I saw that video.
Tear Brazil up.
He's crazy.
He's good.
He's on a rampage. But I'm like, yo, man, like the ass to belt part is that the behavior seems just so stupid. When you think of all of those things, the position that he held, you're not just walking into an apartment complex. You're Sherron Moore, the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. So,
oh man,
another troubled brother. There's a lot of there, and I'm wishing his family. It's tough for me to say something overwhelmingly positive and encouraging to Sherron Moore, because I just don't understand how you get there. None of your partners, because if people on the team knew enough to blackmail you,
I've decided that
none of your partners call you like, yo, dog, I don't care how amazing her company is, whatever that means.
I was wondering how you were going to say it, and
that's all I'm going to say.
I applaud you for how you phrased that.
Yep. I don't care how amazing her company is, how wonderful and delightful her perfume is. I don't care if her cooking is better than the best cooking ever put on the planet.
You can't figure out a scenario right now that you can get your mind right around this.
You gotta walk away. You gotta walk away. Not now, but right now. If no one put their arm around you and told you that, shame on them. And if someone put their arm around you and told you
right now, I like that.
Right now, man. And if they told you that and you still were eating from the poisonous tree, because that's all this is. This is an evidentiary hearing saying, should some of this evidence be thrown out because it was from this poisonous tree, the search, yada, yada, yada. The most poisonous tree is the one that he could not walk away from. So shout out to his wife, though, man. That's a different level of strength, right? Like, we know women are
a positive part of the story.
We know women are a different breed. To go through labor, I couldn't do it. I'll tap out. Do whatever you need to do. Kill me and the baby. I ain't doing it. I ain't going to, whatever. I can't do that much pain. I'm joking, but nah. Men can't go through that much pain. We can't get a common cold without feeling like we're going to die. So we know women are a different breed in terms of strength, but this strength, this support is, I think, next level. So I wish her nothing but the best. Prayers to his wife and his kids as they endure this journey as well. ATB, all terrible blunders. And CJ Stroud comes to mind. CJ Stroud, my man CJ Stroud. He became turnover happy in these playoffs. He totaled 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions, and 2 fumbles lost in just 2 games. including 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 first half interceptions in the divisional round loss. He broke that record, a record you don't want to break. First player with at least 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles in a single postseason. Dan Orlowski said any of the other 31 starters could have beat New England that day. That's how bad he played. Do you think C.J. Stroud is taking too much heat for the loss? One of his teammates came and defended him and said he's still the best. It's just a bad outing. Short-sighted a little bit. It was at least 2 bad outings. Is C.J. Stroud taking too much heat for this unthinkable turnover frenzy in the playoffs?
No, it's his fault. I mean, you got to give him all credit for the season that they've had. He's done great for the season for the team, and he was complete trash in the playoffs. Both can be true, and this is true. He's trash.
How about then, because the 49ers, hold my beer, they lost 41-6.
Trash. Also trash.
Also trash. How about the refs? Because in as many as 2 days, there is a question about a completion, an incompletion, and an interception. Or I guess you can't call it a fumble recovery. In the Denver-Buffalo game, it was deemed an interception. In the Chicago and Rams game, it was deemed a completion. They looked almost identical. And I know there's this thing, you got to survive the ground to make a catch. But never have we seen such a hairline distinction between a completion, an incompletion, and an interception. And then it happened twice in as many days. I'm saying the refs had a blunder. There's no way that 2 different referee crews can see those 2 plays and call them exact different outcomes. And yet it happened. One of which, they both had big implications, but in Denver and Buffalo, that won Denver the game. Are you calling a blunder? Or
I would argue they both were game deciding in some ways.
Yeah, it's inarguable.
What happened.
It's definite in the
after
Denver.
No call, or when they kept the ball. I don't know what the Rams did. As much as this is personal to me, as much as I thought the Rams was a catch, and I thought he was down. But I do want to acknowledge that it was bang bang, and he had the ball, was going down. The catch still wasn't made. I do feel like in the Bears situation, the catch was a little bit more established. But you just said something that really made me go like. He would have had the DB been out there and he hit the ground and the ball came out. They would have said he didn't catch the ball.
You got to survive the ground.
He didn't.
I think they need to change the rules to say you got to survive the ground unless another player is involved and prevents that from happening. Meaning, in both cases, I think they're a catch. Am I biased as a former wide receiver? Hell yeah. But in both cases, I think it's a catch. If the defensive back wants to involve himself, then this sort of question as to whether or not you survive the ground becomes obsolete. I couldn't survive the ground because there's another person, a defender, that is making that impossible. And so the catch to me is there in that moment, in the instant, boom, right? In the LA game, there was a knee to hit the ground. In the when it came to the receiver from Buffalo, he hit his back. But same thing, right?
But his knee hit the ground first. I mean,
it was knee then back, which is if there's no other defender there, that's considered enough for two feet. I don't know, man. I asked everybody who is watching
for the Bears game if the Rams receiver took any steps.
He took a step, one step. I asked those who watched, those who are still in our live audience, you watch both games. There are 3 possible outcomes. I guess incomplete is the only one that is impossible at this point. Was it a completion, an incompletion, or an interception? Both games, two different outcomes, and both impacted the outcome of the game. All terrible blunders. I would argue that the referees had a terrible blunder. What is the purpose of having this center, this review center, when it just seems, especially in the Buffalo-Denver game, they barely gave that any time to review. That was quicker than freaking.
That was quick.
They were right back on the field. Like the conspiracy theories that have to be coming from this are going to be limitless, because why are we going past this so quick that it was like indisputable? I don't know. I've watched it all week and I still can't tell you. I want to say it's a completion. I then want to say, well, if it's not a completion, I can't give it an interception, so I would just make it incomplete. But yet it became an interception. I don't know. For those still watching, you answer, what do you think it was? Was it a completion, incompletion, or an interception in the Buffalo and Denver game? I know what they ruled it. I'm asking us to be Friday morning referees. What do you say it is? Same thing with the Rams and the Bears game. Was it a completion, incompletion, or interception? We know it, they ruled it, but it was two different outcomes. So the jury is still out. Let's go home with this one, man. And then we're going to get out of here. Because I know that's your boy. Your boy in them, right? Your boy in them is, how do I say it? Your boy in them, I want to make sure I say it right and not sound like a hater. Sometimes I can sound like a hater with this topic. Your boy in them is struggling to get his greatness recognized this year. ATB, All-Star time, is behind him, baby. He did not make the starting five in the West. The starters have been announced, and LeBron James is not an NBA starter in the All-Star game. The Western starters consist of Steph Curry, Luka, SGA, the Joker, and Wemby. And then if you look at the stats, because now that you have those five, there'll be 7 other players that are picked from the coaches. If you look at the stats, the only way he makes it in is somebody is doing him a favor. What do you think, man? Is All-Star time behind him? And I'm not going to say just put a taint on any sort of dark cloud on his career, because his career is what it is. But he's still averaging 22 points a game. And yet, if you look at the Western Conference, there's so many other players that did not make it in that you almost have to assume have to make it in. You got Ant-Man didn't make it in. You got Kawhi Leonard didn't make it in. You got Kevin Durant didn't make it in. That's 3 right there who are all averaging more than him. James Harden, Devin Booker, right? You got Lauri Markkanen. You got a lot of players in between the 5 that made it, at least when it comes to points per game, and LeBron. Way more than 7.
I mean, is that the only statistic that counts these days?
Not the only one, but that's a big statistic when it comes to All-Star. Not the only one.
Dennis Rodman played an All-Star game, didn't he?
He did.
I mean, how about when you go LeBron with rebounds and assists? Do we add that? How do those count?
We can look at rebounds. I think he's averaging like 6 rebounds a game.
6 and change.
6 and change.
Almost 7 assists.
Still several players between him and the numbers. Way more than 7. Same thing with assists. I think he's averaging 6 assists a game.
6.9, right?
6.9. He's in good shape there. He's in good shape.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Joker's so good, man.
He's so good. You don't want to like the Joker, but if you don't, you're a racist. That's the only reason why you don't like him. I
like that. If not,
I would like to see if they have the nerve for ICE to pick him up and check his credentials.
Hey man, he was 2 brothers. Good luck.
Players. One of these boxers or somebody got it. ICE got one of them.
Does LeBron? Have we seen the end of LeBron as an All-Star? I don't think he gets picked this year. You think he gets picked this year?
Pick him. I don't think you cannot pick him. I think you could. You have to pick him. You know how like they gotta let you off with a warning when you've been at work for a long time. You was late, and they say, "Hey, look, you was late. I'm not gonna write you up, but you can't be late again."
Here's my thing though: if the coaches vote LeBron in, and look, we've been arguing as much as we can since the College Football Playoff Committee final freaking show, and they snubbed Notre Dame. There are a lot of worthy players that should make it in over LeBron this year. The only way he makes it in is he gets one of the Alabama winks, and they do him a favor. That's the only way. You think he should get the wink?
He's worthy of a wink. This dude is the face. He was the face of the NBA for so long. Jeannie Buston got out of pocket, and she's running her mouth. So maybe that's a sign, but I don't imagine. I can't see it.
What do you think about that? And I love that. So for those who don't know, it has been reported that a lot of the animosity that existed between Jeannie Buss and her brothers existed because Jeannie Buss felt as though LeBron wasn't grateful enough that they spent the 55th pick on drafting LeBron James Jr., a.k.a. Bronny. Jeannie Buss came out and said basically, no, LeBron was very thankful. But it also didn't refute that it was a favor. It seems as though they're very, very interesting back and forth when it comes to that. I think Bronny is for a 55th pick, people take chances on the 55th pick.
And I think he's delivered what a 55th pick delivers most of the time. His G League numbers
with more opportunities, but yes.
Well, I mean, not in the NBA, but I'm saying with the G League, he's done well. And I think that's where a lot of these guys are ending up. We got guys who were the 31st pick that had to go back to college.
Fair. Very fair.
Let's not act like this dude is just the worst guy that they could have picked.
Maybe Bronny gonna go back to college.
Huh?
At this point. Maybe Bronny goes back to college at this point.
But he's played in NBA games.
Yeah, he has. He's played in NBA games, so he can't.
So I guess my argument would be, first of all, I find it completely disrespectful that they made that public. But even makes them look bad. Like, you have to stand on the fact that you drafted this man, and you had to stand on it to the point where you're like, nah, I picked him up. Like, we fuck with him for real. So I think for y'all to sit there and say we did it as a favor to LeBron is a slap in the face to Bronny, who didn't deserve it, slap in the face to LeBron, and it makes you look stupid. Stand on that.
Absolute ATB. Absolute tension amongst the buses.
Did you just make it up?
I did.
That should be better.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you say sometimes you.
Once in a while.
I like that. You freestyle a little bit. Every time you gotta change your rhymes up depending on what was said before.
I don't want to call it scandal, but last story when it comes to LeBron, they came out with this new colorway that was supposed to be a tribute to MLK Day. It was released on Martin Luther King Day, and the colorway was based on the hotel in Memphis where he was killed. There is a social media influencer that took real issue with it. Do you have an issue with it? The social media influence was like, capitalism is going to kill us all. Tone deaf. Why would you take from the hotel? There's so many other things you could have done to pay tribute to Martin Luther King. And oh, by the way, on MLK Day, you release a shoe that's $200. And LeBron, being the face of the shoe, is going to take some heat for it. I don't have an issue with it, but how dare we not at least discuss it? This is the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. Is like where show me the money meets give me the damn ball. This story is at the epicenter of that. Nike made the decision. LeBron's taking the heat. Do you think it's fair?
I don't. At the end of the day, much is to be made out of nothing. You can sit there and say, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you write I have a dream on the shoe? Are you going to donate this much money? There's people out there who just hate capitalism to a point. I think capitalism is the root of all evil, but it's a great thing at the same time.
I think it says still the king on the
yeah. But my point is, you could have said anything. And whatever you said, somebody could say, well, I would have picked this. I would have picked that. My wife and I walked around this house about where to put a picture, and we can't agree on that. But like at the end of the day, that's just
so you trying to pretend like you got to vote? I like that, man. Be tough.
No, that's
Be
the
tough.
best part. She asked me, my wife asked me where I want to put it. I'm like, just so you can not put it there and let me know once again that I don't.
Hey, I'm not falling for it this time.
And then you would ask me to hang it on top of it. I want you to do the
hang it in the spot that
I picked. But I'm just saying, like, you can sit there and say it was bad to do on this day and the shoe costs too much money and do whatever. You know what, man? It's a collector's item. There's a brand that you guys see me wear saying actively black, and they do a lot of different things for black owned cotton fields that they use to build t-shirts. They'll do a Muhammad Ali shirt. I have a little Wu-Tang sweatshirt I wore before. They do a lot of different things, whatever. And they cost lots of money. I mean, they're not cheap. Very good product. Very, 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 this is a free plug because no one's giving me.
I was about to say, man, they're going to pay for this, man. But someone recognized one of your sweatshirts, one of our live artists.
Yeah, one of your live recognized sweatshirt. It just came out. I got it that day. And I pre-ordered it. So he's got a good eye for him to recognize it. But I like the product and do whatever, and it costs money. I'm not going to scrutinize where their money's going, although I know they do donate some money back and do whatever. But you can sit there and you just don't like LeBron, you don't like Nike, you don't like capitalism, and you're just going to sit there and say, to call it tone deaf is going way too far. You're attributing something. Whether the tribute is wrong is up to interpretation. But to say that someone does a tribute shoe, that, of course, it's not going to be that many people that buy the shoe anyway. It's going to be something that somebody might buy and put in the trophy case somewhere and add to it. But in a world where it's no longer free to get into Yellowstone Park on his birthday, in a world where the Bush is taking down George Washington's tribute to slaves out of his house, in a world where that is, I'm not going to criticize LeBron because he could have picked a different location, or he could have not done a release on the shoe, or the shoe could have been I'm not on that.
Got it. How about on this? How about on this? Because one of the influencers, this is more than influencer, Debo. I think at one point Debo played for Mike Tomlin. Basically,
most of his career.
Most of his career, right? All right, yeah, because towards the end he played other teams. You're right. So Debo basically is saying that Mike Tomlin can't be considered an all-time great because he doesn't have a coaching tree. He said 19 years of non-losing seasons is impressive, but let's not call him a great, because the great ones have been the producer of other great ones, and they have a coaching tree that you can attribute to that coach. I didn't really like the take. I didn't like it at all. There's so many reasons why that could be the case, but what say you before we get out of here?
Honestly, I never heard that before. I never thought of it before. When you look at the national championship game this year, all 4 coaches came out of the Saban coaching tree. That shows you now Saban, I think, is hands down the best college football coach of our lifetime at a minimum, and maybe of all time, depending. I don't want to go too far back in other eras and compare, but he's definitely the best football coach of my lifetime that I've been able to witness. And I think the testament is that. We both played for a coach that has a humongous coaching tree in Lou Holtz, where there's guys today, Wink Martindale and all these different people that
Urban Meyer,
Charlie Strong, I can't remember what the offensive coordinator is now, who was for Georgia when they won their championship, but they all came from this tree, and I laughed like, oh my God, this person was on our staff. And your question to me in prep for the show was, maybe they're not trying to make a coaching tree. And I don't think Kai is trying to make a coaching tree. If you listen to the way Coach Holtz talked to his coaches, he wasn't trying to make a coaching tree. I think he was trying to get people to just stand in front of a bus the way that he talks to these players, whatever. But, even myself, watching how I interact with some of my kids when I was coaching, and I didn't have the best relationship with Coach Holtz when I played for him, but I found myself mimicking some of what he's doing. And I had a very successful coaching career as a youth football coach. I think there's something to be said about it. Now, granted, you might want to be very positive, and I like Mike Tomlin a lot. Let me start off by saying I like him and I respect him, and I was happy for his success. But maybe you can go back and look and say, like, Bill Belichick. One of the things I used to say about how good a coach he was is how his players would leave, and then you'd find out they were trash when they went to other places. They weren't really that good. And I use that
Belichick has a coaching tree, though, but I get what you're saying.
He has a coaching tree, but what I'm saying is, look what he did with nothing. He got receivers that
whole coaching tree thing came from Bill Walsh. That's the first time I remember people really talking about the coaching tree.
Right. And
right.
so
You got Tony Dungy. You got
the lack of championships that he had a team that was good enough to go over 500. Maybe he did that. You can't say he did it with bad players. He had some goons on that team. He's had some all-time greats and some Hall of Famers on his team. But I think there has to be at least ask the question why. Why are not more coaches that coach for 20 years? You should have some systems or some habits or something that other people can copy, mimic, and do well. And I question you think it's a lot to be made of nothing? I think there's something to it. That's just me. And coming from Debo, who played for him, who liked him, who said he's a great motivator of men, and he said whatever. He said he's not great because he's not true. There's something. There's more to it that we didn't even hear.
I didn't like it because that is it has a lot more weight to it because one of his former players, well-respected players, said it. Mm-hmm. And I just think that there have been so many fans and Steelers enthusiasts, so many beat writers in the Pittsburgh area that have done anything to undermine Tomlin's accomplishments. I just hated seeing Debo do it as well. So
I can understand that. That's one of those things you don't say in front of company, but
yes, there's no need to, right? And look, I took
it viral. We picked it up. Other people will pick it up.
I took issue with Coach Holtz, right, with his RNC appearance, using the words that we have all grown to love, right? Love, commitment, trust. I took issue with that, and I did the piece here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, the Dear Coach piece. And I've since reached out to him, tried to connect with him. I don't have
your number blocked.
Yeah, I don't have any ill will towards him, and I think that was a part of who Coach Holtz taught us to be men that are willing to stand on your own feet and men of conviction and do hard things because it's right. And I felt that it was right. And I was speaking on behalf of a lot of players. But to me, that was a noble cause. I don't think that this is very noble. There's nothing noble about it in terms of offering something that undermines someone's career that I think is it a data point? Yes, but an arbitrary one at best. There's so many different reasons why coaches don't go on to be their own great coaches that have nothing to do with Mike Tomlin. They don't. Those factors are independent of Mike Tomlin. So I hated the source. And honestly, I didn't think substantively it made a lot of sense to me because you can be an all-time great, not necessarily have a coaching tree. So let's go home with this, man. Ball Hawk Spotlight moment. Our Ball Hawk Spotlight moment today is brought to you from Australia. Let's get to it, man. We don't normally do a lot when it comes to tennis, but today we will. I bring to you some real interesting debate from, what do they call that? The land over, under, whatever they call it. What is it called?
Under.
What is it called?
Down under.
Yeah, that place. All right, here we go.
Your reaction to all that?
Well, I can get what she said after the match because that's kind of heat of the moment. She was surprised by Krista's reaction at the handshake, but you cannot be talking out loud between first and second serve of your opponent. I mean, Krista was ready to hit the second serve, and then Osaka says, "Come on." That's not right. I don't think she does it on purpose. She doesn't realize it. You can say "come on" all you want, but keep it inside. Do not verbalize it.
Yeah, I mean, Osaka's 28 years of age. Like, she's played tennis for a long time. It's just something you don't really do. Not supposed to make noise between the first and second serves. Kristea calling her out on it. Osaka did it in her opening round match. No one said anything. We all know Osaka, she doesn't have a mean bone in her body.
Right.
So I would be surprised if she continued with that behavior. You can pump yourself up by hitting your thigh. You can't yell out in between serves. basic kind of tennis etiquette 101.
Agreed. There's no bad intent here. And look, she was probably a bit lost in her process here. She's trying to find her way back as well. So I think maybe there's a little bit of leeway there, but it's just, it's not done. And I think perhaps the umpire should have said something at that juncture. But it's a rough one. I feel for Cristea, but heat of the moment, sometimes you're not fully aware of what you're doing. But hopefully her team has let her know that, listen, you just can't be doing this because you can't repeat it.
Don't you think that would have been done after the first match? I'm surprised they let it go. Like, someone's got to say something.
She's been doing it already.
Yeah. So
it's a habit.
I have a feeling that she'll stop now, though.
Yeah.
2 matches in, a lot is overshadowing the tennis, Martina.
Well, I mean, I think she'd rather people talk about her outfit and her tennis than this. So I think she'll be aware of it. I don't think she did it on purpose again. But sometimes you just have to, say less.
It's good for her to come back in the press conference and apologize, not trying to disrespect anybody. Obviously, when you're interviewed right after a match, you're in the heat of the moment.
Thing,
you say certain things.
I thought that was. Let me bring back our screens. I thought that was well articulated in terms of the issue itself. Well, interesting moment in tennis. Naomi Osaka seems to always be in the middle of something, to be honest. But this particular thing, man, like it explains why I rarely watch tennis. I didn't realize that it was taboo to like. It's really taboo to just say "come on" between serves. And now Naomi Osaka, when she was asked on the court about it, she did take a very, look, this episode was started by belt to ass. She mad at me because BTA, she took belt to ass. All right. Or maybe it was ATB. She took her ass to this belt. That's why she was mad at me. And then when she reflected upon it and she got a chance in the post-match interview, not on the court, she seemed to be a lot more contrite about it and offered an apology. And it seemed like she really was confused with the quick handshake. They gave her that what's your boy? Ben Johnson handshake.
Ben Johnson.
LaFleur.
That was funny.
Gave that quick handshake.
LaFleur looked like he had so much to say that he didn't get to say.
Said Naomi too. Like what was that about?
Here's my problem I have is tennis is this sport with all these unwritten rules and all this etiquette stuff and whatever. The lady at the end of the day, I forgot her name already. The
other tennis player,
European lady. She went and said something to the ref, said, "Can she do that?" And the ref said, "Yeah." The ref said she could do it. She said, in between sets like that, the ref said, "Yep." And she explained why she could do it. So now there's a difference between etiquette and rules. Like, do you take a knee? Do you dunk a ball in basketball at the end like Giannis did? Would do a windmill dunk when you guys are up. These are all things. They're not against the rules. They may be against etiquette. I think we go a little too far. But to say that it's hard to win a tennis match, right? You got to win. You got to win by
Australian
2.
Open. This is a big tennis tournament.
A lot of points. She yelled out before the lady served. If she would have served the ball and hit a fault, and then they said whatever, but she was out there doing whatever, and she made some noise that was bad. And she said her
pumping
piece,
herself up, saying, "Come on, saying that to herself." And she was hitting her.
You don't want to shake my hand at the end of the match because of one thing that I did at one point, which I'm sure she probably stopped doing it after that happened. We didn't see that she continued to keep doing it. Maybe she did once or twice. It's just, to me, it's some baby shit. Like, all right, now you want to do it just like before. There was that the other tennis player where she's like, you'll learn. You don't know what you're doing. You're uneducated. Blah blah blah. Because of the warm up. She was mad at the warm up.
This is Osaka or Ask Coco Golf.
This wasn't either one of them. A less popular black girl that came out.
Yep.
But you remember she got in an argument where the lady told her she was uneducated and all the different things of that nature. And that was because of how she warmed up. So like, damn, are we going a 3 hour match and we're talking about one incident that was going on that makes things right? So
Yeah,
You
she
know,
had made the same mistake in the match before, and so I put it more on the official for not correcting it. I think the panelists that just spoke on it put the onus on the referee or the judge, the line judge, whatever. And I would agree there. But they also said that, she's 28 years old. She's played enough tennis to know that this is not the protocol. What's up, my man Malcolm Johnson in the building? He's weighed in with a few comments as it pertains to this particular topic. I've got to admit that my tennis knowledge is poor at best. I know enough to be dangerous when it comes to the protocol. And somebody yelling to themselves, but not to themselves, so it's audible. Come on, firing themselves up, hitting themselves on the thigh wouldn't do anything for me. But I played a Neanderthal sport, and we did that a lot. Like at the starting line, the other sports that I played, basketball is just Neanderthal light because it's a lot of contact in basketball too. And then the third sport that I played, and I'm still an enthusiast on is track. But that's before you run a race. Like you can do anything. You could jump up, you could talk to yourself, you could yell, you could holler. So the protocol is different, but it seems as though she was out of protocol when it comes to yelling between serves. And if so, she should be corrected.
But I believe that the girl stopped. The lady stopped. I shouldn't call her girl. The lady stopped. She went to the ref and said, "Can she do that?" And the ref said, "Yeah." So once there's the difference between etiquette and rules, she brought attention to it. I'm sure that if she heard it, that the ump heard it, and she did whatever. I just think at the end of the game, like we all get mad about calls. Was that a catch or a non-catch against the Bears? Was that a catch or non-catch against Buffalo? You go through and there's one play. You got a long period to win a game, and when you act at the end,
she beat her 2 out of 3 sets after.
When you go at the end of the game and you get mad about one incident that happened on one point in the game that probably wasn't even the last point.
We should have looked at what set that was. Because that would probably give you why there was a moment of sensitivity.
How close was the set? What happened?
Right.
But you didn't even serve the ball. So at the end of the day, if you can't put that aside, I might foul you and get a tech foul at the end of the game or some sort of basketball game. It might be a flagrant one. When the game is over, I believe you should shake hands. You still mad about that?
She shook her hand. She shook her hand. She was just it was a Ben Johnson, Matt LaFleur shake. It was quick, it was terse. And Osaka did look just like Matt LaFleur, very shocked. I think there's a bigger conversation that we won't have right now is that when you are on the court in the post-match interview, you still have all of that bravado. You still have all of that competitiveness in you. And so when asked about it in that moment, she acted like a tennis player that felt like, she just got belt to ass. Or for our episode, ATB, ass to belt. I was happy that someone either got to her or her better senses came about her and she took a very different approach on the stage. Maybe it's going to bring more eyes to tennis. It's good to have a little bit of beef, y'all. It's good beef. It's good. Australian tennis beef, ATB. What a great show, though, bro. We took all of those ATBs and we brought you the Ball Hog Sports
I got to give you full credit, though. I mean, you found a different way with ATB.
Every once in a while, man.
The Benjamins.
All the Benjamins, baby. We going to get all the Benjamins.
Yeah.
If all of the Browns and the Florimas and all the people that are not just our last name, but your family because you keep supporting the Ball Hog Sports Talk, we ask you kindly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. This has been the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. It's where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We do it one way and one way only. That's rough, rugged, and raw. I'll ask you again because they say repetition is a point of emphasis. Please like, please comment, please share, Please tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast on Spotify. Any last words before we get out of here on this wintry weekend?
To all my brethren, all my fans and family, not in Florida at this time, please stay warm. Please stay warm. I got shorts on. My toes are ashy. I got to go get a pedicure because my feet will be out this weekend. And I know y'all cold, and I feel for you. But, hey, I mean, that's all I got for you, is I feel for you. If anybody happens to go by my house, you know, you want to shovel some snow, I got love for you. I don't think it's supposed to snow.
I bet you feel for us. Like the tiniest violin feel for us.
I don't think it snows in Chicago. It's too cold. They're talking about exploding trees, that the sap. Now, think about this. The sap is supposed to be so cold in Chicago that the trees could explode. Like it's never been cold like that before. I'm never going back. I might never go home.
Whatever is going on with the change in our climate, I hope it stops. For those who are in the New York, New Jersey area, please be safe. They say it is going to be a lot of 16, 18 inches, whatever they're saying. So be safe. We thank you. This is our labor of love. We do it. We want to do it for more people. We want to do it on a bigger platform. You can help us help more people by sharing this episode. It has been the ATB episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. And with that, we out, y'all.